me a hug.
Thank you so much.
So much gentler than Tosca.
So, today I looked at the little thing that says what we're supposed to talk about. Now, yesterday I prepared something completely else. So it says that I'm to talk to you about how spirit works and how the importance of intuition, how that is. So I'm going to instead, by talking about it, I'm going to demonstrate how this looks and how this works and what I believe. I was voted this year in this ridiculous phone call that I got from a friend of mine. Said, did you know you were voted in the top 100 spiritually influential people of the world? And I was shoving popcorn in my face, feeling like a big fat slob, and just sitting there going, how did that happen? How is it possible that from today, from 30 years ago when I was here in Toronto, and I was on my hands and knees in a drug dealer's basement, I was an alcoholic, I'd been gang raped, I had a life that you would in no way ever perceive as even vaguely spiritual. None. I wanted to kill myself. I tried twice in my 20s. And so the irony of it all is with me sitting there, my worst day now is how much popcorn I eat. Thank God I love that first guy who said that we don't have to calorie restrict in order to be, because that's not going to be happening over here. But the point that I'm trying to make is, and I really believe that changing the way we see changes everything. If we can change the way we see ourselves, everything can change. The power is in perception, and what Dr. Darren Weissman talked about earlier, and Darren and I work together. Whatever we perceive in the world is our truth, and what lens we look through. That subconscious program, after a period of time, when you keep reinforcing the same thing over and over again, that becomes your truth and your reality. Now, I went to Havergal College here for 14 years. One would assume my parents made me, we're going to be a nice little girl. That is not what happened. What happened was, for me, is that I had a huge spiritual awakening by an initiation, by a test of fire. And when I hit my bottom at the age of 27, which is 28 years ago, I think. I can't count anymore, but whatever. Half my life away, I woke up and saw myself for the first time with clarity. And I believe that spirit works. How spirit works is through perspective. It's through clarity, and it's through being able to rise above your story. I've made my living for the past 23 years seeing for people. And yes, I am a spiritualist, but it is really, again, a label that is so very, very narrow. I believe that, and I have had experiences over the past 23 years. Anybody ever had an intuitive hit or a visitation, or knowing that your lost mother is still alive somewhere? Put up your hand. Lots of you, more of you than less of you, and those of you who don't want anybody to see you, put your hand up. I saw you go like this. So this has been my whole life. This has been my whole life since I got clean and sober 27 years ago, and since I started to see things about people. And what I see about people are their stories. Now, I can tell you a ton of anecdotes. I have tons of them. I've had the most incredible experiences. I laughed when I saw this radical longevity piece. It's not up there now. Because I know we don't die. Like, I know firsthand that we don't die. I had a near-death experience myself when I was 19 years old, and I was gang raped. And I left my body and hung in the side of a corner of the room and watched everything happen. Now, I didn't die, but I saw the world through a very different lens. But I wasn't ready to recognize that I could see beyond my personality and my life experience. My stories still dictated the way I saw the world and the lens through which I looked. And every single one of you has a story that somehow has held you prisoner, or sometimes when the light shines through, it's like your lens cracks, and all of a sudden you get a moment of truth, a moment of opportunity, where you have more than hope, where it's tangible power, and that subconscious program no longer can run the show. It just can't. And a new story gets a chance to take root in us. Most of us here, I believe anyway, put up your hands if you're over 40 years old in here. Okay, excellent. So I would assume that most of us in here have reached a point in our lives where we start looking at meaning. What is meaning? Without spirit, there is no meaning to life, none whatsoever. We do not have a life without that connection to a power greater than ourselves. And I'm not a religious person, so, keep an open mind when I talk, because I I believe that somewhere between science and religion is spirit. It isn't, and when those two bicker about who's right and who's wrong, somewhere in that numinous, mystical, empty space is where it all happens, where meaning can change us. And we can look at ourselves no longer as victims of a story. So when I came here, Connie and I had been talking and saying, can you demonstrate? So I would really like to do that. And I pray. So I pray to a power greater than me, and it's not important what kind of power than me. I just know that God is God, and God doesn't exist in religion for me. God exists in the trees and in every breath I take and in hope and in the human spirit and the ability to be inspired and to create, because that is what life is. So I prayed, and I said, you got to send me somebody, because I only got 17 minutes, and usually I do this for 2 hours. Tonight I'm the keynote at the Energy Psychology Conference, so you'll get to see me again if you want to come and see me really do it. So I prayed, and today 2 people came into the green room, and immediately, actually it was Tesh, correct, who I've never seen or met before, and I don't know your name. Mary, okay. So they just looked really familiar to me. So I said, please show me how I can show people how spirit works. So if I can, I would like to show you how I believe spirit works, and that maybe you might be able to see how we are all connected instead of how we are all so individual. So I know you think I'm going to talk to you, Mary, but I'm actually not going to start. I sat beside Tesh, and so can you stand up, please? Okay. So I'm kind of really, I'm like, I've got so much energy going through me right now. So I connected to Tesh for a second. I just looked at him and I said, your mother recently passed, and you said correct, right? So I'll just tell you, for transparency, what just happened. And I asked if she was Irish, and you said yes. Now, with a name like Tesh, I never thought you'd have an Irish mother. So anyway, I'd like to deliver what I'm connecting to, and you just tell me if it means anything to you, okay? So is there alcoholism, is that correct, in your family background on her?
No.
What about her?
Not alcohol, but morphine.
More, it's close enough. Okay,
Yes.
so I'm addiction. All right, so, and it was her, correct? It was actually her, yes. All right, so, because I'm getting, I'll be honest with you, she was extremely abusive to you, and for a long period of time, also verbally and very, now, just.
True.
Yeah, and she never, ever told you she cared. Is this correct? She is wanting you to know she has always cared. She has hated herself her entire life. She also came from an abusive father, is what I'm picking up as well, too. There was an very big abandoning. And part of what you have done is you are actually a result of somebody who was able to take what she was made fun of you. I get that she was, is that correct? Is that really? Correct. And she's so sorry. I'm just getting this sense of that you have spent your entire life with this story, that you were not good enough, that you were somehow less than, that you were puny. Actually, the word is puny. Does that make sense to you? It's like, I hate to say this, but I'm just having to give you this message because you wouldn't know it was her otherwise, right?
That is beautiful. And yes, right on.
Yeah, so thank you for letting me do this in front of this audience, because I know it's embarrassing probably.
Thank you.
And wait, you're not done. She says, get up.
We're getting to the sticky part.
Sorry, but yeah, she's bossy. Okay.
Oh, yes, Mama.
Okay, got you. I got 11 minutes to go. Okay. No, she's very bossy. Okay. And she was like, she is so proud of you now, and that what you felt yourself, almost this sense of fear that you would not be accepted or wanted or yourself, right? And that your path was so off the beaten path. I have to learn more about you afterwards, but
Definitely.
You never got this. You need to know how proud your mother is and how much she loves you. She has never said that to you in life, and she needs you to hear this now.
Wow, that's extraordinary. Especially today. I mean, being here and today, it is very powerful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. She says, I can go now. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I also want to check, has somebody here had lose somebody named Al this year or the year before? Al or Alfred or Alan, who was really wanted like this thing called roll-mops or pickled herring. Does this mean anything to anybody in this room? I hope to God it means something to somebody. Pickled herring and an Aller Allen, pickled herring. This is better. If somebody's got to claim this guy. No. With pickled herring. It has to be pickled herring. No, it's very specifically somebody who has passed away this past 18 months, who had this thing about pickled herring. It's been following me around, and the letter is A. Mean anything to anybody? Okay, so we'll take that right off that film. That's going to go on TV. Oh, it's going to drive me crazy. So if there's somebody in the staff, should come to me, because I'm usually really accurate about this, and such a weird thing of pickled herring. Anybody here, roll-mops mean anything to anyone in this room? The word roll-mops. Yes? So what is the connection to you with, are you the only person in this room that's going to connect with somebody who's passed away? Maybe I get the name wrong, but that had this connection very strong that this person loved pickled herring.
Well, I don't even know if he passed away. Like, as far as I know, he's still alive.
Oh.
He was a next neighbor when I lived in Scarborough. But he was Dutch and roll-mops.
Roll-mops. And did he have a German Shepherd dog?
No.
Okay. Who? Yes.
My grandpa just passed last week.
Your grandpa just passed last week?
Yeah, he had a German Shepherd.
A German
And,
Shepherd?
yeah, he ate Swedish pickled herring.
Pickled herring. Okay, excuse me.
But it's
Okay.
Bill William
Okay, so I got the name wrong. Okay. A. There's another A.
Anderson.
Anderson. Your last name is Anderson. Okay. So I don't know this, right? So and I don't know this. So, okay. So this is gonna sound so nuts. Loganberry jam.
Yeah.
You're to remember him, and you don't want to put them together. And that's what he liked to eat together, right? So he loves you, and he's looking after your little boy. Does that mean anything?
Who's named after him?
Who's named after him? Okay. All right, so now if it makes anybody feel any better, I can't find my purse 90% of the time. Okay, last but not least, come on up. I was really scared, by the way, because I had no idea you're not an audience I'm used to. Usually people come because they know that, I'm going to ask for Spirit to come through and make a connection. So this is not my typical audience. And this is what I believe is the power of prayer and the power of God. If we are meant to be used in service to someone for their benefit, this is, I believe, Spirit in action. And I really believe all of us can do this. I'm not maybe as good as me, but whatever. But I can't count. I can't do a whole lot of other things. But, each one of us has a purpose. We have a unique purpose. And no matter what we have experienced in our life, no matter what sadness, what sorrow, it can be used in service, in sharing. And all I am doing is demonstrating that we are connected, not that I have a power. Is that we think we're separate. But all this extraordinary information and the fact that we can live beyond our years, of course we can. Our body drops. Our soul stewards this body. The soul isn't inside and then jumps out and then go bye-bye, and you either get to go up to heaven and listen to great harp music and see St. Peter, or down to hell and listen to heavy metal music and never get to eat chocolate again. So that's not happening. There's no hamburger universe. So I believe the Spirit is within us right now when we require it. So your name is Mary. I'm sorry, I'm going to get to you eventually, right? So alcoholism, now all the dead alcoholics come through easier. So you do have alcoholism in your family background, correct? Okay, and your mom also has passed in the past 2 years?
In the past month and a half.
Oh, month and a half. What happened 2 years ago with your mother? That was also like a...
We had to put her in a home.
Okay, I need to talk about this, okay? So, and forget the cards. I'm not using cards. Okay, we don't need these things. I made them just to make sure it'd be easier to tell picture stories. Okay, so here's the thing. This 2 years ago is more important than the passing, all right? You need to forgive yourself for that thing that happened 2 years ago. Does this make sense to you at all? All right, you guys putting her in the home, wasn't it? I mean, because you guys argued over this. Is this correct?
Yes, we did.
Yes, I'm seeing a lot of arguing, and there's 4 of you that were arguing. Is this correct?
Yes.
Yes, 4 people arguing. Okay, so she's like, get over it.
Yes.
Okay, I'm seeing 4, and you're like,
My siblings.
Yeah, okay, well, you're like wasting time with this. And I'm going to say something awkward, okay? Have you put on weight since then?
Yes.
Just since then? Okay,
Yes.
so you need to, part of what's going on is you've been trying to protect yourself for the past 2 years, all right? So it's you're way too empathetic to everybody because you're the one that always has to fix things. Is this correct? Okay. Yeah, well, forget it. You're fired. No, no more fixing. That job is not yours. And so part of this is that you're not taking care of yourself. Okay, you understand this? All right. I'm also picking up a pre-diabetic condition. Is this correct? Do you know if this is true? Being
I don't
hypoglycemic?
know.
Well, you're allergic to gluten and you got to stop eating sugar. Now, I could say that to anybody, but for you, for sure, I know that there's edema, blah, blah, blah. But wait a second. So your mother, did she used to do this to you all the time? Stick your finger in your face?
No.
Okay, well, she's making me do it now, and I never do that. And I hate doing that. I hate doing that. So there you go. Like, I would never do that. So here's the other thing. I'm seeing a separation recently as well. Is this correct?
Yes.
For you, right? Okay. And this is a marriage or a relationship?
A relationship?
Screw him. Okay, so I'm really getting, honestly, I'm getting, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, but I really just have to say what I see, okay? So I'm really getting the last in a long line of you doing all the emotional work for everybody else, okay? Make sense? All right, so your obsession to want to make it all work and make it, fix it, and right, am I right?
Yes.
Yes, okay, no more of that, all right? You have to own love for you. This is the story I was talking about. This is what Darren teaches. This is about the portal to our changing ourselves is to change the story. It's to be willing to let go that story and see beyond it. You are lovable. Stop trying so hard. Does that make sense? You don't have to work so hard for that. You worked hard all your life in your family too, okay? And that's what I'm connecting from your mom. You don't need to work like that. You're lovable and perfect, just as you are. Okay?
Okay.
We need Kleenex. You still want to ask me a question? I know. Sorry.
Okay.
You want to ask another question?
About my daughter.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know you're not. I know she feels like not done. You know when somebody doesn't want to get off the stage? That's okay. I get to stay right. I only have 3 minutes. I'm doing good, really, like pushing it in there with that 17-minute thing.
Yeah, my daughter.
I'm like, Spirit, you got to get me. Okay. You're estranged from your daughter. Is this correct?
Emotionally, yes.
Yeah. Well, that's how we get estranged.
Yeah,
Everything is
yeah,
emotions. It's our
emotionally,
thoughts,
yeah.
emotions. It's not because you live down the road. It's like because we feel. You're worried about a relationship from her, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, like mother, like daughter. All right. Honestly, okay. You just know it. She will. If you say black, she's going to say white. Say
Exactly.
nothing. Say nothing about this person. I know you don't want them to be together, correct?
That's right.
Yeah, like not just right. You'd like to like burn his house down. So just be so supportive of this. She will not do not fight. This is like an addiction. This is an addiction. There's a lot of I'm calling the addiction piece because it's same sort of thing.
It is an addiction.
Okay. So we don't have enough time for that. I can actually assign you, never mind. We'll talk about this later because I don't want to, this is getting too personal now on the stage. So I just want to say this, you cannot meddle, it will not last. Okay, it will not last. That's what I'm saying. Now, let me tell you about something about predictions. Okay, now you can sit down.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want a hug first? Okay. This really, oh, you're welcome, you're welcome. I do not believe that predictions are important. All right, I do not one bit. I do not play God. I do not say that I see the future, even though that my reputation has been built on my predictive accuracy. But for me, it's really just seeing where the story is going to continue to root itself. That's how predictions come to me. Or when I might see a moment in time when that person is going to have a spiritual experience, when they are on their knees and they can't take it anymore, and that little glimmer of light can come through. Those are things that we can see for people, but we still have to choose. We really do. I'm going to ask you to do one really quick little exercise for me. So close your eyes, and I want to show you how to see through the eyes of your soul. Just imagine any kind of situation that you have in your life right now that's troublesome or irritating. Look at it as if it was a landscape you were looking at, a place you temporarily inhabit. In other words, you are observing a place. This place could be a swamp. It could be the desert. It could be anything. But you are no longer your feelings about that situation. You are now looking at it as if it was a place. And put up your hands if you can, just keep your eyes closed, if you start to feel a distance between you and it, that you are now the one observing the place and you are no longer the place. When you feel a sense of detachment. Every human being since the beginning of time has recognized a winged creature as something magical. Because birds were the only creature we could not mimic. And so since the earliest cave drawings, we have seen a mystical relationship that our subconscious will not deny, because when we see a bird, we know that that bird can connect us with spirit, with God, with whoever we connect with on a higher level. So bring a bird. A bird will show up. Just call on a bird and imagine yourself sitting on the back of that bird. You're still in that landscape. Now get on the back of the bird and let that bird take you high, high in the sky until all you see is blue. So all you see now is blue. Notice how different you feel. Feel your body change. And look down over the side of the wing and see how big or small that troublesome place is now. How big or small is it? Where else could you go? Where else could you go? The soul knows. Every place gets to exist in its integrity. You feel differently out there. You now can see things with greater clarity. What we are so attached to when we're experiencing something troublesome, negative, a story we've been told when a mother doesn't love us, calls us by name, or we want someone to love us who doesn't have it in them. Our tight hold and our attachments keep us prisoners. We don't have to be. I just want to leave you with this thought. You can open up your eyes. I know you're enjoying this. Put up your hands if you felt different from the beginning to the second piece. You all felt different, right? We can choose to get on our bird. Changing the way we see our lives changes everything. I am today not the girl that was sitting on her hands and knees in a drug dealer's basement 30 years ago, expecting to die, feeling dirty, unloved, unwanted, unworthy. Spirit has different plans for me. Thank you.
So I've watched Colette give this kind of talk in a room with thousands of people in it. And if you're a professional journalist or a person in the media, it's not that hard to be detached and perhaps a little cynical about the proceedings. And you think, well, maybe it's an act, a polished act, until you see the tears. And the tears are genuine, and it leaves you wondering.